Coach, you ready to go?
Can you
All
see
right.
me?
Yep, and we can hear you now too. So
There
we'll
we
go
go.
ahead and get started. Coach, you want to just give us a little bit of a rundown what the transition from August to September has been like?
Different than any of our other years here because we've got a healthy dose of returners, almost balanced perfectly with newcomers. So it's kind of a one-on-one matchup. It's been very seamless getting back on campus with in-person classes. We've spent a lot of time just making sure they've got plenty of opportunity to get used to having that as their routine. We've moved freshmen off campus for the first time ever, which is a good thing and a scary thing as a coach at the same time. But lots of new fun things, and it's been fast, furious, but going really well.
Paul, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, can you talk about that as far as kind of indoctrinating those freshmen in with the newcomers? You know, what 5, 6 freshmen? What's that been like thus far?
Real fun to watch. Like, we've got some of these returners that have gone from the role of wide-eared and wide eyes to now being able to help lead and talk them through it and guide. A lot less talking about the coaches, a lot more talking about the players. I think the comfort level's been really exceeded our expectations with how fast they've picked up on things and how they've started to fit together. Really developed a voice that each one of them can kind of count on somebody. And that usually takes more than the 8 weeks that we had during the summer and the 3 weeks that we've had, or 3 or 4 weeks that we've had here to start the school year. So, I mean, if we had to play a game tomorrow, I think we'd be okay. I don't think we'd be very good, but we'd be okay. We could get through it, and we would look like we've played basketball before. But real happy with how far down some of our preseason checklists we've already moved. We have a week-long basketball immersion week in which we literally toss everything we've got at them. They meet everybody. They hear kind of the whole parts of how we do everything and the systems that we use. And then the next, 4 to 6 weeks we use deconstructing that, kind of teaching it whole part, whole method. And then the other new thing that we haven't gone through it yet, but we're getting ready to start this week. Coaches will be back out on the road recruiting, evaluating, doing some. We won't have very many contacts because we don't have a very big class in 2022, but we'll be doing all over the country, spread out, seeing very, very young kids. So that'll be a first time that we've been through it with this group, but that's a new thing too that we haven't had that we did not have last year.
Andrew, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about replacing a player of Chelsea Dungey's quality and how you go about doing that.
Slowly and by committee. And then we've changed some things too. We've changed some of our offensive strategies because we have different personnel. We built some things around what she did, and rather than try to, shove somebody into that role, let's just change and do the things that person does well. So it's been fun for me. We've talked in the off season a lot about Coach Schaefer bringing some of his experience with working with the Princeton offense into what we've already been doing. So it's been fun fresh for all of us. It's literally new for all of us to have some new terminologies and some new actions. So to address your question specifically, we're not trying to make somebody be the next Chelsea. Let them be who they are and put them into some things that they're good at and highlight what they're able to do. And I think that's what we've always been able to do is find what the players can do and then let them go do what they do best.
Porter, go ahead.
Coach, talk a little bit about, Sasha and her transition. She come in, kind of being a leader role, or she just trying to fit into this new group?
I'll tell you, she's done a little bit of both, Porter. She knows when to jump out in front. When it's something that she can lead by example, she jumps out there and does that. If it's leading with words and action, sometimes it's new to her. So you can't even expect her to have that skill yet, but you can tell she's got that quality. She's earned the respect of our returners and newcomers alike. And that's through a combination of those two things. Knowing the right time, when to be a leader and when to be a follower. I think that's a good trait for all of us to have. And she's really exemplified that really, really fast. you can see her getting more and more comfortable every time we get together. But she was a fast fit. I mean, she's magnetic. Any of y'all that have ever been around her knows that she's a magnetic personality and a magnetic kid. So that was fast. And then the basketball stuff, you know, she'll say to me sometimes, she'll go, Coach, I'm still going to deny a little bit every now and then because I used to get in trouble if I didn't. And you got to expect that. You know, for the last year and a half, that was what she did every single day in practice. And there's some changes in philosophies. You got to give her time. Can't expect it to be a switch that you flip on and off, because when you really get it ingrained and taught well, which she did have taught to her well, takes a little bit of time. But she's really been pleasant to have back around, and it's been a joy to have her in practice in the weight room and conditioning at our community service events, because she's identifiable with so many people in the area.
Randy, go ahead.
Well, I'm joining late, so I don't know what all has been asked at this particular point, but
All right.
how do you feel like the schedule sets up for a brand new team, basically?
Well, we constructed it with the hopes that we would, through the entirety of the non-conference, be able to build some confidence and some rotations. We knew that there were going to be a lot of new faces and new roles. Even with our returners, other than Mac and Amber, there's going to be a lot of drastic role changes for Aaron and Marquisha and Riley, and Oberg. So wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity in the non-conference to see as many rotations as we could, but still challenge ourselves enough that if we do well in the Southeastern Conference play, that, you know, we'll be in the conversation to host an NCAA tournament. We worked so hard to do that last year, and we didn't get to actually host it. We want to do that again. We had a really hard time getting anybody to come play us at home, which is kind of understandable after the way we've played at home the last few years. So rather than really go out on the road, we picked, and we were pretty picky. We're going to go to UConn, which not a lot of people win there. We're going to go to Central Florida, which not a lot of people go down there and win. So we're going to Arkansas State, which I know what happened the last time the Razorbacks showed up over there in Jonesboro. So we tried to balance it with a healthy dose of build confidence, but also be prepared for what the SEC is going to bring us. I mean, you can tell we're not going to be probably as challenged going in. I'm not telling you what our record is going to be, but you don't see traditional NCAA tournament top 5, top 10 teams on there like we have the last couple of years. But I don't think it would have been fair to ask this particular roster to play that. So I think we put together a really good challenging one with Belmont coming back in here, getting to play the in-state schools, and then balancing that in with some games around, you know, crucial times of the year, finals, coming in and out of Christmas, those types of things that are always a challenge. We're going to get to be home for Thanksgiving. I can't remember the last time I cooked in my own kitchen for a Thanksgiving. So that was fun to be able to find 2 opponents to play back-to-back nights. It'll kind of have a classic or a tournament feel, even though we won't have trophies and an actual tournament bracket on there. It'll feel like that. So we're really happy with it. We're getting to go to Orlando for a few extra days. So our kids, it's been a couple of years since they've been able to do anything fun on a road trip other than, you know, see the walls of our hotel and have random things shoved up our noses when we're there. So we went to Florida last year, but it certainly didn't feel like a vacation. So we're excited about it. The trip to UConn is obviously a highlight, you know, taking those kids to a place that they've seen on TV hundreds and hundreds of times, and challenge ourselves in the early part of the season with a team I think that'll be surely preseason top 3 or 4, I think.
Paul, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, can you talk a little bit about some of those role changes for some of these returners? Well, you know about Amber and Michaela, but what about a few of those others?
Well, we'll start with Erin. She just walked out of my office. We were meeting, talking about some things. You know, you're looking at a kid who was, you know, knew she was probably going to be coming off the bench, playing in backup of Taylor. Now that role's flipped around. You know, I think the spot is hers as of right now. She's done that in the past with her play and what she's done in the preseason. So, you know, shifting gears from coming off the bench to being a starter, you know, that's something that's obviously a possibility for Marquisha as well, with the improvement that, she continues to make, and how she affects the game. And then you bring these freshmen in that have a freshness about them, that have never played. But when you're looking at Marquisha and you're looking at Aaron right off the bat, Riley Langerman, who was on the real cusp last year of playing valuable minutes in crunch time, and did against UConn. I mean, we're talking about that moment the other day too, when she made a couple of really nice plays for us to help win that game. So I think those three kids jump to your mind right off the bat. And then, bringing getting Destiny Oberg healthy. This is the first time she's been through every one of our preseason workouts. So that gives us another possibility there. And we put Avery Hughes on scholarship. I think some people probably saw that on the release. We took the walk-on title from there, and she's a full scholarship player now. And if she knows what we're doing left and right, and she knows what the opponents are doing left and right. She's been running that side of the ball. So I think she goes from a role of being the other team's point guard to maybe being our point guard at moments. So they're every one of them. Like I said, other than Mac and Amber, who I think have settled in really comfortably with now they've accepted some more vocal leadership role. Neither one of those kids, Amber's loud in her celebrations and her things, but she's not real vocal, if that makes sense. And Mac is the same way. So they've had to really stretch themselves a little bit to be more, to have their voice heard. And then the last person I'd mention would be Alana Eaton, just because, she's healthy now. This was about the time of the year last year where she got hurt. I need to check that. It's coming up pretty close to the date. But she's healthy, working her way back into being in a competitive mode after being away for that a year. And that takes a little time as well. So, but those people are, every single person on our roster is in a little bit of a new role, whether it be on the court or off the court, with leadership responsibilities and, being a caretaker of the things that we do.
Other thing I was going to ask, what do you see different from Jersey after her experience with the U19 group?
A couple of things. One, the on the court part is, they had asked her to be a post player. And so we worked with her on doing that for about 8 weeks there. And she's taken a lot of those things that we worked with her on into this. She got 9 defensive rebounds the other day in a practice. And I mean, big rebounds, not like ones that come to her, like out of her area, going and getting it, seeking it, jumping up, getting it, ripping it right off the rim. So you see that part. I also think there's a hunger, and the only reason I know is because she told me there is, not playing, even though she was on a very honorable and a very prestigious position of being one of 12, not getting to play minutes. I think that was really good for her, because it's been a while. It's been a very long time since she didn't be counted on for every minute of every game. So I think it brought her some perspective. I think it gave her some fire, and not that she ever needs any, but I think it was a great experience for her to be around that climate, that atmosphere, that speed, and obviously the experience of being associated with USA basketball. I think it gave her some confidence, which, no freshman comes in. They may be exuding some confidence, but there's not very much there. I think she comes in with some real confidence.
Porter, go ahead.
I want to go back to the schedule for a second. And what went into not playing any of those classics? Was it because of the roster, or was that something that you kind of looked into and just didn't work out?
A couple of things. One, I'm still not sold that some of those foreign ones are going to happen, with the COVID where it's at. I didn't want to get us into a situation where we had something scheduled and it would fall through because of the potential with that. So we kind of rolled the dice a little bit there. Hopefully it's okay. But we can really only do that about once every 3 or 4 years. And I wanted to make sure we did that next year. So by not doing it this year, we guarantee that we're going to do something next year. So mark your calendars for that. That'll be a fun one, but a little just about, like you said, this particular team. And I also wanted to be at home as many times as we could be. I felt like we had really built up a lot of momentum with Bud Walton Arena and the atmosphere. And I didn't want to take any chances by playing an unbalanced home and road schedule. I want to make sure we were home as many dates as we could be for our fans and to be able to see and keep that momentum going that we had built. And then the other part's finding the right ones. You don't want to go someplace where you're playing somebody you might already be playing. Nothing was obvious. So rather than try to make something a good experience, we said, let's just make our own here. And then start looking for next year. We looked early and we were able to get one early for 22-23 locked in there.
Anything else for Coach? All right, we'll go ahead and wrap it
All right.
there. Thanks,
Good
everybody.
to see everybody. All right.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Later.